Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. You know, it's about time that we got back to the comic. So, let's take a look at issue 6. Let's see, what's the title?
It's called To Fail is to Conquer, To Succeed is to Die.
I just asked what the title was. I didn't ask for the first chapter. What the hell does that mean anyway?
Ancient Afghan proverb.
Oh, we're going to Afghanistan. Yeah, this is gonna get all kinds of awkward, isn't it? You have to remember that this is a comic from the early 80s.
For proof, just look at the ad on the inside cover here. It's for exciting new Atari games. Yeah, so this comic is kinda gonna be the Rambo 3 moment for G.I. Joe. Our cover has Cobra Commander on it, with the reflection of the Joe team and a bunch of guys that we've never seen before in his helmet. Better be careful there, guys. You know what happens when he's had burritos for lunch. We open the issue with the Joes coming back from a hairy mission we never get to see. No, I'm not complaining really, since I think it's kinda neat that the comic infers there's more going on with the Joe team than just the adventures we see. Before they even get a chance to properly relax, or unpack their gear for that matter, Hawk comes in to tell them they've got yet another mission. It turns out the Russians were testing a prototype anti-gravity spycraft over Afghanistan, and it crashed. Afghan rebels have captured the wreckage and are willing to trade it to the Americans, so they're sending the Joes in to get it. But since both the Russians and Cobra are after the thing too, they need to hurry up and get there. Due to the inhospitable terrain, they'll use a special rough terrain vehicle. This goofy looking thing. Yeah, it's not based on any toy, and it looks really out of place here. Especially since all the Joe's equipment so far has been olive drab, not bright silver. The Joes take off, and Clutch uses this time to try some awkward flirting with Scarlet. "You can ride point with me and we could, run out of gas somewhere?"
You'll notice that Snake Eyes isn't on this mission, and that's the only reason that Clutch doesn't have a sword sticking through one of his vital organs right now.
Scarlet rebuffs him, of course. "I'd sooner have a date with Clint Eastwood's baboon!"
Another thing that hopelessly dates this comic. Well, at least I can make fun of this instance. Though, I suppose for my younger viewers, I guess I should explain this one.
When you think Clint Eastwood, most people will think either westerns or Dirty Harry. However, in 1978 and in 1980, Clint Eastwood starred in 2 comedy films, where he was on the road with a orangutan named Clyde. That's what Scarlet is referencing. Though to be honest, how you can mistake an orangutan for a baboon is beyond me. Anyway, while the Joes are underway, we see a shadowy figure in G.I. Joe headquarters, telling Cobra all about the mission. And this evil spy is revealed to be...
General Hawk!
No time to dwell on that strange fact, though. The Joes arrive in Afghanistan and find the rebels. In fact, they get ambushed by them.
And there isn't any joke I can make here that wouldn't be horribly offensive, so here's Clint Eastwood and Clyde instead.
Right turn, Clyde.
The rebels have the spy plane already unpacked up in a special crate they got from the CIA, so the Joes begin assembling their rough terrain vehicle, or RTV, to transport it. They load up the MacGuffin, and Stalker says he'll do his best to get the rebels anti-tank guns and surface-to-air missiles.
Like I said, awkward. Clint?
Right turn, Clyde.
The transport is finally underway, but they are spotted by 2 shadowy figures. October 1, they're heading our way. The Joes find a ravine blocking their way, even though it wasn't on the charts. Though, to be honest, this show has already established that reading maps isn't exactly the Joe's strong suit.
Dead end.
Now, isn't that just like a woman? Scarlet is trying to get us across Afghanistan with a Girl Scout trail map.
Somebody shoot him, please. Thank you.
The Joes come under attack by foes unknown. To get out of the ambush, the GIJoes figure they can make a break for it, forcing their attackers to come out in the open.
They do this by confusing the hell out of me with the art.
Okay, get this. They use the crane on the RTV to pick up the vamp jeep. That's fine. But then they drive one wheel over the ravine, which has gotten incredibly narrow all of a sudden. But then, the next time we see the ravine and the RTV, which is now partly hanging across it, it is far too wide for a wheel to have driven over. Then, finally, the RTV has gotten across it with only its rear wheels hanging over the ravine. What the hell? While all this confusion is going on, we are introduced to the October Guard, the Russians' answer to GIJoe. Though, if you ask the Russians, GIJoe is the American answer to them. The October Guard consists of their leader, Colonel Brekov, whose main characteristic seems to be looking incredibly bored. Then there's Dana, the sharpshooter, Horrorshow, the dumb brawn, plus Grage and Stormavik. But these last two, well, they always seem to be completely interchangeable to me, with no real defining characteristics. Anyway, the GIJoes' plan to lure them out works, and the October Guard pursue them by jumping the ravine in their jeep-type thingy. While they are in mid-flight, Scarlet manages to shoot an arrow through one of their tires, which looks awesome by the way, causing them to crash. The October Guard takes cover to continue the fight. For some reason, the GIJoes stand there and fight them, even though they still have their vehicles and they could easily outrun the October Guard.
I don't get this. Why wouldn't you just get the hell out of there with the MacGuffin?
But no, they stand there until they realize that they have a huge freaking vehicle with big guns, so they use that for a great tactical advantage. The advantage in battle is always with the side that holds the high ground.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
Outnumbered and outgunned, Colonel Brekov, while still looking bored, gives a small speech. Our plan will be to do what my father did at Stalingrad, what my grandfather did at the Eastern Front.
Yeah, that would be throwing hundreds of thousands of troops into a meat grinder with few if any getting out. Good plan!
And sure enough, they just charge right in and attack. Now somehow, probably because this is a comic for kids, this doesn't turn into the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan, and hand-to-hand combat ensues. So this is it, the big showdown. Brekov versus Stalker, Scrage versus, Clutch, I think, and Horrorshow versus, well, everybody else. And here we have yet another nice example of the comic avoiding a cliché. Normally, when you have two teams fighting, and each one has a token female on it, those two will square off against each other for a catfight. Not here though. Scarlet takes on Stormavik and frankly mops the floor with him. Unfortunately, Dana just kinda stands there in the background. True, she asks Horrorshow if he needs help, but he's doing fine on his own. Before the fight can get resolved, however, look behind you! Is that your backup team? Aren't they Red Army reinforcements? Cobra has managed to sneak up on them, with helicopters and all no less. Really, how did they not hear those? And both teams are forced to surrender.
So yeah, while in Afghanistan they get captured by a terrorist group. Look, there's no way to make a joke about that that wouldn't be an incredibly bad taste, so I'm not going there. The only thing I can do is roll the clip.
Right turn, Clyde.
Onward.
And this is where the comic ends, with Cobra Commander ordering them to be lined up and shot. And they actually use the word kill this time.
This comic, well, what can you say really?
This story is a good example of how a changing world can radically alter how you view something. This story was made during a time when the Soviet Union was still unironically referred to as the Evil Empire, and most people had no idea that parts of the Afghan rebellion were turned into psychopathic barbarians.
If I could have read this story back in the 80s, I would have said it was an enjoyable tale that sets up what is to follow quite nicely. Reading it today though, well, I just can't help but feel all kinds of awkward.
I should really write a thank you note or something to Clint Eastwood and his ape for helping me out here. This comic issue can't be ignored though, as it is important to the overall universe of G.I. Joe, as it introduces us to the October Guard, often adversaries, sometimes allies of the Joes. And of course, this comic is just part 1 of the story. Will the Joes and their Ruskies join up against Cobra? Who will get the spy plane? And is Hawk really a double agent?
Hell if I know, I don't have the next issue actually. I'm ordering a trade paperback as we speak though, so hopefully it'll get here in time for the next comic episode. Well, see you next week everybody! So this week, in doing research for the episode, I had to look up Clint Eastwood as he relates to monkeys, the origins of the Taliban, and whether or not an orangutan is an ape or a monkey. Yeah, week by week my life and my browser history gets weirder and weirder.
But your bollocks did up good, you did.
I had to look up Clint Eastwood in relation to monkeys, the origination of... The origination? What the hell?
Before they get a chance to relax or even unpack their stuff, Hawk comes in to tell them they have